In August 2006, a ship called the Probo Koala sailed into the port of Abidjan, Ivory Coast, in the middle of the night. By morning, 100,000 people were sick, 17 were dead, and one of the world's most powerful commodity trading companies was already working to cover it up. This is the story most people have never heard. And when you understand what happened and why, you will never look at multinational corporations the same way again. Trafigura is not a company most people know, but they should. Founded in 1993, by 2006 they were one of the world's largest commodity trading companies. Oil, metals, minerals, moving billions of dollars of cargo across the globe every year, headquartered in Switzerland, offices in London, Amsterdam, Singapore. In 2006, they had a problem. They had chartered the Probo Koala, a Panamanian registered tanker, to carry a cargo of what they called coker naphtha, a cheap, dirty form of petroleum that needed to be processed and cleaned. The cleaning process created something called caustic soda wash, a toxic sludge containing hydrogen sulfide, mercaptans, and other highly dangerous chemicals. 528 cubic meters of it, the equivalent of 12 fully loaded shipping containers of poison. They needed to get rid of it. Cheaply. Their first stop was Amsterdam. The port of Amsterdam agreed to take the waste, but when they tested it, they immediately raised their price, from 27 euros per cubic meter to 1,000 euros per cubic meter. Because the waste wasn't just dirty water, it was highly toxic. Trafigura refused to pay, so the Probo Koala left Amsterdam with its 528 cubic meters of poison still on board. Over the next weeks, the ship was turned away by multiple ports across Europe and West Africa. Nobody would take it. Nobody wanted it. Then someone had an idea. What if they found a country that didn't have the infrastructure to test it properly? A country so desperate for business that they wouldn't ask too many questions. They found a local contractor in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, named Tommy. The deal? Tommy would dispose of all 528 cubic meters of toxic waste for just $17,000. $17,000. To dispose of 12 shipping containers of poison in one of the most densely populated cities in West Africa. On the night of the 19th of August, 2006 lorries drove through Abidjan in the darkness. They dumped the toxic waste at 18 sites across the city, open-air sites, public spaces, near homes, near schools, near markets, near a major garbage dump where thousands of the city's poorest residents lived and worked. By morning, Abidjan woke up to a smell that witnesses described as unbearable, burning, suffocating, like nothing they had ever experienced. Within hours, people began flooding the hospitals. Headaches, nosebleeds, vomiting, breathing difficulties, skin rashes, blisters, blood clots in the nose, eyes burning, stomachs swollen. Over 108,000 people sought medical treatment in the days that followed. The hospitals of Abidjan were overwhelmed. The government declared a public health emergency and opened all hospitals for free treatment. 17 people died, and Trafigura was already working on their story. Trafigura's public position was simple. The waste was harmless, just dirty water, slops from cleaning the ship's tanks. Nothing dangerous, nothing to worry about. But their internal emails told a completely different story. When those emails were later exposed through legal proceedings in the UK, they showed that Trafigura's own people knew exactly how toxic the waste was. They had discussed the dangers internally. They had known that proper disposal in Europe would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they had chosen Abidjan anyway. When Dutch police began investigating what had happened to the waste, Trafigura asked Tommy, the local contractor, to create a false invoice, a fake document showing a much higher disposal price, to make it look like proper disposal had taken place. Two Trafigura executives flew to Abidjan to manage the situation. They were arrested by Ivorian authorities and imprisoned. Then Trafigura did what powerful corporations always do. They paid. In February 2007, just 6 months after 108,000 people were poisoned, Trafigura signed a settlement agreement with the Ivory Coast government. $198 million. That sounds like justice, until you read the small print. In exchange for that payment, the Ivory Coast government agreed to drop all prosecutions against Trafigura, past, present, and future, forever. The company that poisoned 108,000 people walked away without a single criminal conviction. The local contractor's truck drivers went to prison. A Nigerian businessman who owned Tommy got 20 years. The Ivorian shipping agent got 5 years. Not one Trafigura executive was ever convicted of a crime. In the UK, a class action lawsuit brought by 30,000 Ivorian victims was settled out of court. The victims received compensation, but the amount has never been fully disclosed, and funds destined for over 6,000 victims were reportedly stolen by fraudsters claiming to represent them. As recently as September 2023, 17 years after the dumping, the African Court on Human and People's Rights was still ruling on who was responsible. The people of Abidjan are still waiting for full justice. Amsterdam refused the waste because it was too dangerous for Europe, so Trafigura paid $17,000 to dump it on the poorest people in Abidjan instead. 17 dead, 108,000 poisoned, 0 criminal convictions for the company responsible. This happened in 2006. Most people have never heard of it. Now you know. Share this. People need to know this story.